Welcome to the Bourbon Van. I'm Phil.
I'm Julie, and today we're trying Booker's for the very first time.
Booker's is a limited edition product brought to us by Jim Beam. Comes out multiple times a year as a special edition. This year they only came out with 3 varieties for one reason or another. This is 2020-03, the Pigskin Batch. Don't know anything about the name or anything else. There's no sense waiting. Let's pop into this thing.
Let's do it.
The packaging, what an experience. Look, there's a little book if you want to read some information.
Some stats.
You like statistics?
I'm gonna need my glasses for this one.
Oh boy,
Norman
wax.
likes it.
We all love wax bottles. Well, that's not so bad. That could have gone a lot worse. Sometimes it goes a lot worse.
Oh, that's a nice little pop.
Boring little pop.
Oh, that's nice.
Let's pour these, and we're gonna let these sit for just a little while before we do this actual tasting, because this is 127.3 proof. I think it could use a little oxygen before we start sipping on it. So we've been letting these sit for roughly 20 minutes and learning a little bit about this batch, and we're gonna share just a couple high-level details with you because I'm a details guy.
You are a details guy.
I like a good story. First off, about the bourbon, it is aged 6 years, 7 months, 7 days. It is 127.3 proof. This is the 3rd release of Booker's 2020 collection. It's called the Pigskin Batch. It's a nod to my dad, Booker No's love of American football, which eventually became a whole family affair, especially during the holiday season. Fred No, Beam family, 7th generation master distiller. There's a lot more to the story. You can look it up online. There's also a ton of master distiller notes, the blend of which warehouse, what floor, the percentage that's in. There's so much information in here that would really mean nothing to anybody, but I love the attention to detail. Good job, Predno and Jim Beam.
Yeah, so this is our first Booker's.
It is.
Like ever.
Ever.
I want to start by saying that I really like the packaging.
I do like the packaging. I wish it came with a plastic slider on the front. I kind of wish they'd not use that.
Well, I don't want it to fall out.
I know you don't want it to fall out.
I don't want to risk an accident.
It's pretty wasteful.
Oh.
And by the way, this bottle sells in Oregon for $89.95. The plastic's just unnecessary, I think. Okay. You're paying a little bit for the packaging, you're paying a little bit for the story, you're paying a little bit for it because it's 127.3 proof and it's a bit of an allocated rarity around here.
I'm going to disagree.
Okay.
I mean, I know that, it's plastic and that's never great. But I also don't want to grab it and bottle falling off.
I mean, there's got to be another solution.
True. There's always another solution.
Maybe a little wooden door.
But what I'm really talking about outside that little sleeve is I think it's like really cool with like all the branding all over.
Yeah.
Just something different
it is
that you
different.
normally don't see.
It's different and it's well done. So I can't really complain about that. I shouldn't be such a spoil sport.
Especially on your first go.
Yeah, you're right. You know what? I think that we should check out the nose on this.
I'm in.
All
Cheers.
Right. Cheers.
Ooh, you can smell a little bit of that proof already. This is going to be a tough one for me. 127.3, is that where we're at?
That's right.
It's pretty hefty.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like that, I do like a couple higher proofs.
You like some of the higher proof stuff.
Yeah.
Really, it's all about how it drinks. And this one, for me, does not have the typical, sometimes the Jim Beam flavor profile is so shocking to my nose. This doesn't have that for me. It's pretty subtle.
But you can smell something underneath. Sounds kind of weird, huh?
I say it's fair. There's
like once you get past kind of that upper layer of the proof.
Yeah, there's something going on there. I'm getting some wood, but it's more like sawdust than barrel char on the nose. There's definitely some of that peanut there. It's not as though it doesn't exist just because it's subtle.
I am getting like a hint of sweetness coming through.
More like peanut butter than peanuts to me, this one.
Yeah. Want to give it a shot?
I really do.
You can take your time.
There's kind of a lot to unpack on the nose for this one, so I want to do it justice. That's really nice. Okay, going in for a sip.
Ooh, she's warm. I know I'm supposed to be getting peanuts right away, but I'm getting a ton of cinnamon.
Yeah.
A ton of cinnamon right off of the bat. It's not as hot as I thought it was going to be.
Maybe this is a weird tasting note for something like this, and you're right, it's not that hot. Is there a little bit of some sort of tart berry in there? Like strawberry, maybe?
My first sip basically just cinnamon. I'm telling you. And delicious, like a caramely cinnamon. Like it was,
Wow.
maybe not caramel, caramel's not the right word, but just cinnamon. So I'll have to taste it a little bit more to maybe get in with that.
This is definitely,
Ooh,
it's
not the
layered. This is a complex whiskey. And I say that with a nod toward the last Jim Beam product that I had was Old Tub, the 100 proof bottled and bond
A
product.
little bit different in price.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difference of about $60 in price. But that was such a shock to my system with the peanuts and the spice, and it just was so rough around the edges that I was actually real nervous about opening this bottle. I was really hoping that I would have a different experience, and I've had a completely different experience right off the bat here.
You know, the nose is opening up a little bit now that I've taken a sip, and I couldn't figure out what like the smell was on the initial nose. I think it almost has like a leathery note to it.
Yeah, that's nice. You're right.
Yeah, you can't say like a sweet leathery, but that's kind of almost what I'm getting. It's like a very light.
Yeah, like, you know, there's a kind of a difference between the smell of like black leather and brown leather.
Yeah.
This I'm getting brown leather. It's not so leathery. You're right. It's more of a sweet leathery.
I'm actually enjoying the nose a lot more now that I've taken a sip.
I totally agree. The longer that this sits, the better it gets.
Second sip, a little bit of that nuttiness is coming through. You know, I'm getting a nice little hug.
This is going to sound a little silly. I'm thinking like a maple butterscotch candy. There's something a little mapley in here. There's something a little butterscotch or toffee-like. This is really good stuff. It's hot. It's definitely my tongue is getting that proof on it, but the flavor is still cutting through. It's still very nice.
What's interesting, it's pretty thick.
It's got great legs in the glass. It's very viscous on the tongue.
Yeah, it almost feels like there's layers on my tongue. Even though I haven't taken a sip in a little bit, but I can still feel it. The finish is really long, almost like a little chewy or...
Yeah, it's not overly buttery as far as a flavor note, but the texture of it certainly is.
That proof is coming through now. I was pleasantly surprised at the beginning that it didn't seem like 127.
On the nose now, a touch of that honey, and even on the palate, some honey coming through.
Maybe that's the sweetness that I keep getting, is like a honey sweetness.
It coats really nice, just like honey does, and the flavor reminds me of honey. I think the longer this sits, the more this is like a honey with peanut butter edge. Watch out for the honey with the peanut butter edge.
Hey. I really like your honey call out there, especially on the nose for me.
It's candy, but it's got a buttery mouthfeel, but it's got an earthy note to it that I think is where that leather is coming from. And I'm still getting just a little bit of strawberry when it hits the very front of my tongue. It's really complex. This is way, way more complex than any other Jim Beam product that I've ever had.
Yeah.
It's definitely my favorite Beam product right now. Of course, it's high proof and it's pricier than all the rest of their products, so why wouldn't I like it more?
I want to comment on the finish of this. It is really long lasting.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it goes back to that viscosity that you were talking about in the coating. It lingers. The heat lingers, the flavors linger.
The funny thing is on a lot of Beam products where you do get a nice finish, for me it's always peanuts. This time it's almost like a subtle caramel note and the oak, which there's not a ton of oak here, but that barrel char shows up on the finish. It's a really pleasant finish to a super complex bourbon.
So everything about Booker's is different than any Jim Beam product that we've had. I was just thinking how that, you know, nuttiness, that peanut forward taste that we sometimes can get in like the Knob Creek Rye, you mentioned the Old Tub, isn't super present in this, at least for me.
No, absolutely. This is almost like if you took all of the things that you really like about Jim Beam, everything that they make from the Old Tub, which is pleasant enough if you like that flavor profile, to the Knob Creek, which we actually like as a daily sipper and in cocktails.
Yeah.
If you rounded the edges, proofed it up, and really just classed it up in every way, that's this bottle. I really, really like this.
I was gonna say pleasantly surprised, but I didn't have any expectations. I feel like it's one of these bottles that people really love or really don't love.
Yeah, I didn't have any expectations, but I was cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, and I am enjoying it, even with that high proof point. I mean, obviously it's a slow sipper, but I think it's like really flavorful, has a really nice finish. The nose opens up over time, for sure. It takes a little bit of time for that to open up. It's a drier drink.
That's for sure.
I think that's maybe where I'm going with this. It's drier. I'm getting like a dried cherry. You get a little bit of that, you know, nuttiness, the honey, everything kind of is drier.
Yeah, it's a bit of a sponge. My mouth is really dry after drinking this, and I would agree with that. I would
Not
say
in a bad way either.
No, not at all. And
Yeah.
I would say that the one alternate note for me, aside from the honey, the nuts, cinnamon, all those things that are sort of drying out my mouth, every once in a while I get that strawberry note.
Yeah.
And the saliva rushes into my mouth. How gross is that? But it happens.
No, you kind of want that.
I want it. I like it.
wakens up
Nobody
your-
wants to hear about it.
Maybe not, but it wakens up your taste buds, right?
Right.
And it's funny you just said something about the cinnamon, and man, that first sip, remember that was all I got, and now I didn't even think it's like out of my head. Like it's changed so much from like sip one to sip whatever I'm on right now.
This bottle is gentle and subtle in an unexpected way for such a high proof. It drinks really, really nice. And I'm not going to say it drinks easy. This is one that's going to command your attention. You're going to have to work through it a little bit from a flavor perspective. The one bottle that we've neglected to mention that sort of reminds me of this, and I'm just now thinking of it, is Old Granddad 114. It's made by the same company.
Gosh, I
not
haven't
that
had it
far
in a
off.
while, so I don't remember what it tastes like.
It's the closest proof point on our shelf that's a Jim Beam product. And even that, as much as I like it, doesn't hold a candle to this. This is amazing stuff. I'm enjoying the heck out of it.
Well, and that's quite a price swing from Old Grand 114 to this baby.
Okay, so it's still like 60 bucks, maybe more. Great bottle, really enjoyable. I'm almost done with mine. I didn't really pour a lot because it was so high proof. I might have another one.
So we know that it can be tricky to find this, especially here in Oregon. I think, maybe if you're in the Kentucky area, it's probably not as difficult. And prices do vary across the country.
Technically, we didn't find this one.
No, we didn't. Special shout out and thank you to Angela
Yeah.
for this wonderful gift.
Yeah, terrific. Just a lovely gift. One of the nicest things you can do for somebody, give them a bottle of really nice, high-end, hard-to-find booze.
And just so you know, we're really enjoying it, so thank you.
Really enjoying it, yes. There's not much more to say. We're not going to talk about value or any of that. This isn't meant to be a full review. We just wanted to share this experience of trying this brand and this bottle for the very first time. This is delicious. I'm going to have some more. You're going to have some more?
Why not?
That's the spirit. From wherever we are.
To wherever you are.
Cheers.
Cheers.